story that I wrote this weekend to you guys. It's kind of long, but bear with me. The knife lay on the wooden table, sharpened and ready to go. The light hanging overhead caught the blade and reflected off right to my eyes. I stepped to the side but kept my stare directed at the weapon. Bumping, scratching, and screaming came from the room atop the basement, but the noise didn't bother me. For the split second that I looked away, my hands began to sweat. I furiously wiped them on my jeans. I couldn't get psyched. I couldn't lose focus. Calmly walking up to the table, I placed my hands on either side of the knife. I ran my eyes over it, caressing every edge, every point. I picked up the knife and dropped my hand to my side, letting my arms swing naturally from the weight. I turned to the door and began to walk. Climbing the stairs, I used the rail on my left, but began to stomp up the remaining steps because I can feel the sweat on my palm. I reached the top of the stairs and cautiously opened the door just to a crack. Hearing nothing, I opened the door enough so I can fit through. As quietly as I can, I slowly walked through the kitchen and the living room to the spare bedroom on the east side of the house. I paused at the door but still hear nothing. Oh, wait. Yes, I hear breathing. She's sleeping. Ever so sneaky, I turn the handle and slip inside the room. A glow shines through the closed blinds onto the bed where a girl, about 12 years old, lies sleeping. I creep closer to the bed, and there I stand at the edge, watching her sleep. Her hair fans out behind her, dark and curly. Bushy eyebrows outline the smooth skin of her eyelids. Her dark eyelashes point down to her button nose and pale, full lips. Her hands are clasped close to her chest, while her legs are on top of one another, curled up at a 90-degree angle. The bedsheet just covers past her ankles, revealing how tiny she really is. A light blue slip, dirty and tattered, stretches oddly across her body while she sleeps. She looks so peaceful, and I feel kind of sorry for her. Before, she was most likely throwing herself against the wall, scratching and beating the floor. Her arms are full of scars, old and new, beads of blood bubble from the nail marks. For 3 years, I've kept this girl as mine. I've loved her like she was my own, but she has been able to fully replace my precious. I stand in silence for some time until I wince in pain. I've cut through my pants and into my flesh. My hand has been sawing unnoticeably on my leg. Blood starts seeping through my cut, but I didn't bend down to stop it. Soon I felt it dripping and slithering all over my bare foot. It squished between my toes, and I smiled at the sound. My eyes are now back on her, hearing her soft, regular breath that calms me. I wrapped and re-wrapped my fingers around the plastic handle of the knife. I brought it up, my arm bending at the elbow. Walking so I stood at the edge of the bed, I slowly flipped the handle around in my hand so I'd be ready to stab. With my left hand, I reached out and lovingly stroked her hair, gently placing a strand of it behind her ear. Her skin was so soft and perfect. I continued to look at her until the image of a younger girl, about 8 years old, appeared in front of my eyes. Her head turned and she smiled at me. Her eyes twinkled and she reached up, her fingers stretched, wanting me. But suddenly her face twisted into a look of utter pain. Her arms dropped, dead. Her glowing eyes faded and her smile became a grimace. The image shifted to a couple, their picture on the news. Wanted for kidnapping, killing, and sexually abusing an 8-year-old girl. My little girl. They took my little girl, my beautiful, innocent child, and now I have theirs. Was their daughter as easy to take as theirs? I don't know, but at least I don't know. I know where my daughter is now. They don't. While they rot in their cells, they wondered where their baby could be. Well, she's here with me, and she's been here. You'll be able to see her soon, in hell. I blink for tears of anger that begin to form in the corners of my eyes. I shake my head and grind my teeth. I take the key off the rope around my neck and one-handedly unlock the chains that hold her ankles to the bed. The noise and movement wakes her, but she continues lying, not moving or making a sound. My breath heightens. All I can think about is my little girl, stabbed through the chest, not given a choice. I clench my hands, hard, so much that my nails dig into my palms and my knuckles turn white. My eyes are no longer lead, but all I see is red. Spots like blood bleeding all over objects that I see, dripping down the walls, seeping into the cracks of the floorboards. Suddenly, a loud screeching, ringing floods my ears. My body is heating up, my head feels like it's about to explode, my stomach is doing flip-flops, and my limbs are shaking. Flashes of light coming from nowhere blind me. I swipe madly, trying to slash invisible demons. I step backwards and fall into the side of the bed. The girl jumps, and I instantly pin her against the pillow. I begin to bounce, shaking her shoulders, screaming into her face, and I become out of control, so much that I cannot hold back any longer. I lift my arm up into the air and plunge the knife so deep into the girl's chest that it rips through the sheets and cuts into the mattress. The adrenaline still coursed in my veins as I rest, still gripping the knife. The blood spluttered out of her chest, flowing in around out and around, onto the bed, over my hands, and soaking my clothes. I sigh. The anger is replaced now by remorse. I take the blade from her body and throw it back towards the door. I get off and stand beside the bed. Taking the sheet that was pushed to the side, I pull it over her body and place a locket on her forehead. It has a picture of a tiny, dark-haired girl in a red jumper holding a small stuffed dog, smiling as the sun shines through from the background. As I slowly back out towards the door, I make sure to never stop looking at that locket. It, sitting atop a blood-soaked sheet, covering a peaceful body, is the last thing I remember. It is that picture that I close my eyes to because when I take my late-night shower, I slip, hit my head, and never wake up again.